Tonight, at least 17 people are dead as California is battered with a parade of devastating storms. Good evening. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Marcella Lee. We've seen videos of the destruction for days now, from flooded roads to toppled trees to mudslides. People up in Northern California are dealing with the most severe effects, but the storm's impact is being felt up and down the coast. Emergency crews say they are prepared to make rescues.
The LAFD is on high alert. We have extra staffing. We have swift water teams.
18 people had to be rescued in Ventura County after floodwaters overwhelmed a homeless encampment. The storm even prompted some tornado warnings early this morning. Back here at home, we have a team of reporters covering this latest storm. CBS 8's Rocio de la Fe is in Escondido tonight, where a big rig lost control. Rocio, what's it looking like out there right now?
Well, Marcella, the weather has dried up here a bit, but if you take a look behind me, you can see the I-15 South is still pretty messy and hectic here for this afternoon commute. That is where this big rig overturned, causing just a big mess for drivers. And it actually wasn't until about 1 o'clock this afternoon that we actually saw those downpours and wind really start to pick up here in Escondido. And that's when this crash happened, and also when we started to see water on the roads. This was the scene actually earlier on Interstate 15 South, heading towards Rancho Parkway. Again, not much has changed since then. The semi-truck landed on its side, blocking the 4 right lanes of traffic and causing just a major standstill. Now, throughout the day, we saw several spots accumulate water rather quickly, causing some minor street flooding in Escondido's East Lincoln Avenue and Mission Avenue. And in downtown Vista, we saw rain come down sideways sometimes due to the gusty winds. And people we spoke to say this is all unusual to see so much rain in such a short amount of time.
More time, that's it. Wherever you got to be is not as important as your own life.
Because it doesn't rain often, people get a little, they get in a hurry. But yeah, you got to be careful here.
Yeah.
There's a lot of traffic.
Now, the bad news again is that traffic is still pretty much backed up. So if you have to travel through this area, just give yourself plenty of time and have patience. The good news we're learning from CHP officers is that driver of the big rig was able to walk out without any injuries and is expected to be okay. Live from Escondido, Rocio de la Fe, CBS 8.
That's great news on that driver. Thanks, Rocio. Let's go now to our Shannon Handy live in Mission Beach, where we saw some wild flooding during the last storm. Shannon, what does it look out there right now?
Yeah, Marcella, that flooding had to do with big waves and high tide, so we didn't see any of that, luckily. But with this storm, businesses, especially here in South Mission, where it usually floods here on Mission Boulevard and San Gabriel Place, they were ready for flooding once again. They were equipped with these sandbags, but fortunately, when the storm came through, it came through quickly, and it didn't leave any major issues behind. Before the rain made its way to the southern part of our county Tuesday, people gathered in Ocean Beach to check out the high surf.
I could just sit and watch this for hours. This is relaxing to me.
Down.
In Mission Beach, city crews cleared sand from drainage areas so the boardwalk wouldn't flood.
Wow, their house just got flooded over there.
It comes just days after it was covered in water, sand, and seaweed following massive waves and a high tide, as seen in this video taken on Friday. The water flooded several units and got dangerously close to others.
Yeah, it made it almost to my front step, but luckily it didn't go in or under the front door or anything, so that's good.
Given Friday's events, people living along our coastal region were nervous about this latest storm and the amount of rain it could bring. We spotted several sandbags outside homes and businesses just in case. When the heaviest rain hit this afternoon, it lasted less than 10 minutes, leaving behind some standing water, but no substantial flooding. A little bit relief?
Yeah, but you never really know what to expect.
And speaking of not knowing what to expect, this office was flooded heavily after Friday's flooding when we saw the high tide and those massive waves. In fact, the guy who works here was just telling me he had to rip up all the flooring, and that's what he's doing in here. He's making some repairs on the flooring. Now, as for today's storm, because it did bring some rain, that means we get some water, some runoff. It goes back into the ocean and carries a lot of nasty stuff with it. So lifeguards say to avoid going into the water for at least 72 hours. But with another storm coming, it could be another week or so before they say it's safe to go back in. Marcella?
Shannon, all of the cleanup as the rain just keeps on coming. Now, I know that yesterday you spoke with San Diego Fire Rescue, and they mentioned that they're going to be adding to their staff just for today's storm to make sure that they had all of the areas covered. What have you talked to them today?
No word yet on today, but when I spoke with them yesterday, they said that they did have members of their Swiftwater rescue team up in Northern California helping with those efforts, because as we've seen in videos, they are dealing with a lot of issues, a lot of flooding and dangerous situations. But I asked, well, what about us here? Because we are expecting this rain and there may be some water rescues associated with that. And they say we have upstaffed not only in our fire department, Swiftwater rescue squads, but also in the lifeguard station, because lifeguards, of course, are equipped to do those swiftwater rescues. But as of today, we have not heard of any swiftwater rescues in those normal places we go to when it rains.
We know that they've been busy just making sure everyone is safe. And I guess the saying no news is good news tonight. Shannon Handy, thanks so much for that live report. Let's get straight now to Chief Meteorologist Carlene Chavis. She has a look at what's next in the forecast. Carlene, boy, you've been tracking the storm for the past week.
Yeah, it's definitely moved through the bulk of that moisture. We saw that around the 2 o'clock hour. Now we still have that front that is draped across our county, but it's exiting towards the southeast. So we're still seeing some showers popping up across the mountains, even some flurry action across Palomar Mountain, and that's because the snow level is coming down to about 5,000 feet. So we are going to see some really light snow, but you're looking at shower activity and few lingering showers through about 10 o'clock. Now, when we take a look at what's still in play, a flood advisory across areas that are still dealing with rain. We're seeing that from Pine Valley across the mountains and then impacting right along the 8. But as Shannon mentioned, the flooding that happened in the coastal communities was mainly because of the big waves that happened on Friday. And so as a result, we're still dealing with some big waves, but not expecting the same flood because they're not going to be as big as Friday. We're talking sets up to 10 feet. Some minor flooding in low-lying parking lots is what expected by tomorrow. We'll go ahead and take a look at your complete forecast coming up. Marcella?